All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We haven't made a Houston Rockets daily video since October 11th of 2024. We've been doing shows. Let's talk Rockets. Check out the podcast down below if you haven't already. I just got back from Mexico. We have the trade deadline just passed, and then we have the All-Star break beginning in a couple of days from now. So the Rockets play two more games tonight against the Phoenix Suns and then tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors. At this time of recording, they're 33-20, all right, which is fifth in the Western Conference. I just want to double check that. 33-20, fifth in the West. Now, they just went on a 6-game losing streak. They were able to break it against the Toronto Raptors a couple of nights ago. But the Rockets were and still are one of the best teams in the NBA. So the trade deadline just passed. Now, I know the title of this video probably has something to do with Kevin Bleepin Durant, as Skip Bayless used to say. So I want to pull this tweet up. This is from NBA Central, the Dunk Central. Kevin Durant is probably going to get traded this summer. He knows it, the Suns know it, and the rest of the NBA know it. And this is from Brian Windhorst, who I actually know gets clowned on all the time, but I think Brian's one of the best just capital J journalists out there in the NBA. Now, we'll get to this in just a second. I'm going to pull up the big name veterans with player options, team options, like Fred's, for example. We're going to pull up some restricted guys and then some unrestricted free agents. My point just kind of is a couple of things. The Houston Rockets didn't make a big time move, right? They made a move. They picked up Cody Zeller. They waived Jaden Springer. They got some draft picks. They lost a second round draft pick, right? Everyone wanted more. And people kind of thought, and I tweeted this in Mexico because I'm just like going on my phone every couple of hours, like morning, afternoon, nighttime, and there's like a big ass trade. Like all of a sudden, Jimmy Butler's on the Golden State Warriors. I mean, there were so many big moves that I tweeted it out, and I was like, I just kind of feel like the next time I check my phone, Kevin Durant's going to be a Houston Rocket. Now, my whole ethos and my whole philosophy for this entire Rocket season is let these guys just do their thing, right? You don't need to go out there and trade for Kevin Durant, who, by the way, KD, so it's February. KD's birthday's in September, someday in September. He'll be 37 at the start of next season. And I'm just glad Houston didn't make a move because you're seeing it now. Like we entered the season saying, all right, this is Jalen's last year with Houston Rockets. Unless he proves he can be that dude, a lot of people wanted Jalen Green gone unless he was a bona fide superstar, right? And now we're kind of seeing, all right, obviously maybe Jalen Green's not going to be a top 5 player in the NBA for years and years and years. He can play like one on one night, but he's just such a good scorer. We're seeing him just, his defense is vastly improved. His passing is vastly improved. He's just impacting the games in multiple different ways. Jabari Smith Jr. has been out for well over like 6 weeks at this point now. You're seeing Amen Thompson in his absence just really ascend to be like, oh, Amen Thompson's probably the highest ceiling guy on this team. And then we're seeing Alperen Sengun continue to do his thing. He's playing like a top 20 player in the NBA. He's making an all-star. And I don't want to mess with any of it. And so we get compared to the OKC Thunder all the time. And I say this on so many of my shows on the podcast is like, we're pretty much 1 year behind OKC every single season. And so last year, OKC was one of the best teams in the NBA. They might have actually been the best team in the NBA. They make the playoffs, they do their thing, and now they're, NBA final favorites, or they're like, one of the 5 teams, 5-6 teams in the NBA that you could say they actually have NBA final potential, and they're probably going to do it. Last year, it was like, yeah, I can see them doing it, even though they have such a high seed. They're very young. Let's see them win at least a playoff series. They're very young. They could make the NBA finals. They could make the Western Conference finals. They could win the NBA finals. But they are super young. They're super inexperienced. Like a lot of these guys are just so young. And, obviously they didn't go all that far. And then they, make a couple of moves in the offseason, like Alex Caruso comes to mind, but they round out the roster, and now you see, I'll pull up their record just for argument's sake. They're 43-9. The OKC Thunder are 43-9. So my point just is, you don't need to be the Lakers and go out and get a Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks. You don't need to go out there and get an aging Kevin Durant just because the thought process is, okay, well, we're gonna be, now the Rockets are a 5 seed, but they were for so long the second seed, the third seed, the fourth seed. No matter where the Houston Rockets finish, which I really hope it's top four. I really hope it's top six at the very worst. And I think this young team with their young legs and their ascending talent should have no issues having a home playoff game or having 4 home playoff games in the first round. The point just is, let's see what these guys can do. Let's assess after the offseason. All right, is Dylan Brooks going to be a Rocket next year? Are they bringing Freddie Double V back? Is Jabari, they're feeling Jabari's absence right now. Is it moving forward going to be Jabari? Tari Eason sitting out back to backs. Jalen Green, can we see it for the whole season like we've seen for the first half of the season? Amin Thompson. Is this dude really a superstar? Because he looks like it. Anytime he gets meaningful minutes, he's a superstar. So the point is, I'm just glad. I was reading, Bleacher Report article. I got it right here. I'll just say it. They were grading every NBA team's trade deadline. I can't even just pull it up here. And this is what they had to say. I don't know what happened while I was gone, but Bleacher Report completely changed everything, and I hate it. So they gave the Houston Rockets a C+. Jaden Springer waived. Cody Zeller, 2028 second, 2030 third round, second round pick. Crazy. We're talking about 2030 and 2031 second round picks. But they were kind of saying, let's see here. Though the prospect of another rugged defender was intriguing the Rockets determined, blah, blah, blah. Critics clamoring for a lower grade will need to base their takes on road not taken stances. Those feel unfair as the Rockets consistently signaled they intended to let their core develop without a big swing disruption this season. So that's what Raphael Stone said all year, and that's what Raphael Stone did. Now, I do think if the Rockets make a big-ass move in the offseason, I do think it's going to come down via trade, not necessarily saying it's Kevin Durant. I actually think KD would be a perfect fit on this roster as it stands right now. I love Jimmy Butler. As you guys know, I'm from Chicago. I love Jimmy Butler. I watched that dude turn in from a role player to a star player to a superstar player all in his time in Chicago. I'm glad they didn't make that move because this is just how the NBA works, man. 1 month it's this guy, then the next month it's this guy, and then the next month it's this guy, and it just gets exhausting. So just to give you a gauge of what we're looking at this point in free agency. So these guys have player options: James Harden, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Chris Middleton, Julius Randle, Russell Westbrook, John Collins, DFS, Kelly Oubre, Bobby Portis, Naz Reid, Duncan Robinson, Freddie Double V. I think Fred's probably coming back next season. I don't think they would go for any of these guys. Maybe like a James Harden reunion, possibly if that's on the table. Maybe Stone and Udoka are like, all right, you know what? I think we're at a position where we can do that. But I think more suited moves for the Houston Rockets that you would see in this offseason as far as big name free agents would be guys like Bobby Portis here, maybe even a Naz Reid for a scorer off of the bench, Duncan Robinson for some shooting, Kelly Oubre maybe. That's the point. Restricted free agents, if Memphis gets rid of Santi, I don't even know. Diabate, Josh Giddey, J.K. Kuminga, Cam Davis, and then here are just some unrestricted free agents. Brandon Ingram just got extended from the Toronto Raptors, which another example, like just go on my phone and Brandon Ingram's on the Raptors, and I'm seeing their projected starting 5, and I'm like, ooh, Brandon Ingram's on the Raptors. Ooh, I like that a lot. Karis LeVert, Miles Turner, I can never really say this guy's name, Gershon Yabusele, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Malik Beasley, Clint Capella, Ty Jerome, Tyus Jones, Luke Kennard, Brook Lopez, Chris Paul, Ben Simmons. That's the point. So I'm really glad. I think the Rockets did a phenomenal job. Obviously, we've been linked numerous times to Kevin bleeping Durant, and I don't hate it. I don't not love it. I just don't think the Rockets are in a position where they needed to make a move like that. So I understand you can look at the roster and be like, oh, well, you got to compete with Luka Doncic and LeBron James and all these top dogs in the West. And then, the Lakers lose in the first round and all that's forgotten. But anyways, that's it for me. That's enough yapping for today. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for hopefully Houston Rockets daily content moving forward. Check out the Let's Talk Rockets show. We're very close to 100 total podcast episodes. They're live. They're on Spotify. They're on Apple. That's all down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching. And let me know your thoughts on Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets. Peace.